Yay!
Woohoo!
Right.
Laura saved the day.
Yay, thank you, Laura. Sorry, we dropped connection there.
Sorry, everybody. I hope you find us back again. Part 2.
Take 2.
Take 2. Let me move on to a question that Kathy sent. Thank you for your question, Kathy. It's a long one, okay? Here's my question to Elsbeth and Laura. How do I respectfully support my son's differences while helping him navigate society's unspoken rules about public behavior? Context, with one minor example. We know his stimming is necessary and not self-harming, and so have never sought to suppress it, but it clearly marks him as different, in quotes. At school, he's known and accepted, but he's getting older, and he will be changing schools. Not sure how to discuss this with him.
Well, I think the first thing we have to do is stop putting the responsibility of the autistic behavior or the societal perception on the autistic person. And I know I'm not saying that that's being done. I'm saying that
Yeah.
the people
I know this
need to
mom
be-
is definitely not being done.
No,
Yeah.
and educating the other students. So the best year my son ever had in school was in the 3rd grade, and I went to their class and I taught the class about autism.
Okay.
And as I'm talking about autism, I said, you might even know somebody who's autistic. And one of the kids raises their hand and says, is it Jacob?
Yeah.
And they were able to put it together really quickly. And these are 3rd graders.
Are we on the OAC page, by the way, Laura, when you log back on?
I think so.
Okay.
Right? Am I not? And
Are we on the OAC page? There's some people who are logging on that I know from a different part of life.
So do you want me to do
I'm just asking people if they're watching, because we could share it.
I just hit whatever Facebook page opened up.
Whatever it opened up. So
Yeah. So
I'm just wondering, because I don't see OAC there. And I'm sorry that I interrupted you, but I'm wondering if we're on the wrong page.
You want to go back to I don't know.
No, I can use my phone, keep talking,
I made
and
the
I'm just going to
internet.
share it
I made the internet
on my
work.
phone.
That's
Please
what
go
I did.
ahead. Sorry.
So-
My apologies, everyone.
There's that, and I think it really helped my son adjust to class because now he was surrounded by kids that wanted to help. They wanted to be a part of it. They wanted to be part of the learning experience. There's part of it. The other part of it also is societal expectations, societal behavior, what's allowed, what's not. Well, there was a point back in France, back in the olden days, where people would go into the hallway and lift up their dresses and pee there in the hallway because that was just what they did. That was socially acceptable. That's going to change. What's socially acceptable now was certainly not acceptable for my parents' generation. So I think you have to pick and choose which of these societal expectations is going to remain and which one of them is going to go away. So it's probably always going to be wrong to kill other people. It's probably always going to be wrong to cause harm to other people.
I'm
Yeah,
hoping.
yeah,
Let's
you know,
bank on that
those
one.
kinds of things. But whether or not it's going to be okay to flap your hands in public is a moot point. It's a moving target. So focus on the things that are dangerous, that are going to hurt themselves or other people,
Absolutely.
and then use the other moments as a moment to make it seem cool and normal. If your kid's flapping and you're not making a big deal of it, maybe other people around you are going to go, oh, okay, it's just not a big deal. This is what he does.
Yeah. I agree completely. I mean, I remember being in school and there would be kids and they try to get you to move desks or move away from them. We want these desks. We want to sit here with our friends. We don't want you here. And they bully you into trying to move. And you think, you know what? I'm not moving for you. Go away. I'm sitting here. If anyone should move, it should be you. I'm sitting. This is my spot.
Yeah.
But when if you're not interested in seeing different, don't go outside. Like, turn off your phone, ditch the internet, don't leave the house, become a hermit, don't see different people.
Yeah.
If you walk outside, you're going to meet people who use wheelchairs, people who have walkers, people who have guide dogs, people who, stand on the street and shout. Yeah. There are people who walk differently. There are people who chew gum with their mouth open. There's people who there's big people and small people, and there's people who wave their hands, and there's people who sneeze without covering their mouths. I mean, like, eventually at some point you're gonna run into somebody different.
Yeah.
And if you're not comfortable with that, don't go outside. Like, if my behavior is detrimental, so we mentioned in the other one, tearing out my teeth or picking skin around my fingers, that's detrimental. That's harmful to me, and it's probably upsetting. I would hope it would be upsetting to other people. That's different. If I am hitting myself in the head, if I am, putting road salt in my mouth because I like the crunch of it, how can we replace the behavior respectfully to that person? How can we address why the behavior is happening, what role the behavior is filling?
Mm-hmm.
What can we do to replace the behavior so that that person, if it's a stimulus thing, if it's just that I like the crunch of road salt, what can we do, what can we give that stimulates that so I'm getting fulfillment but not in a harmful manner? But if it's just that, other people might think he's weird, go to downtown London, Ontario. You will find, I'm from London, you will find weird everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're not, I'm sorry, but I can't insulate the world and say, I can't make you not see different people. And autistic people have a right to be here too. I have a right to respect. I have a right to human decency. I have a right that, as long as I'm not hurting anybody, we don't want Elsbeth to be picked on. But that's changing Elsbeth so that people who are mean don't pick on Elsbeth, rather than saying to people, don't be mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Can I pull
I
that?
want to ask her one more question.
Yeah.
And then we talked about your slinky.
Yeah.
If I was to take your slinky away from you,
I would be very sad.
what would that do?
Well, I'd have to find some other way. The energy is always still there.
Yeah.
The energy is still there. It's just got to come out some other way. So when I was in school, I did have some more socially and more constructive ways to deal with my need to move around and my lack of sitting still. I started drawing, which was not a popular move, and my teachers weren't thrilled with it. But no, I went to university. I got a degree in fine art history. So
We have a related question, and Laura. I want you to hold your thought, okay?
Yeah.
But Tracy asks, I'm still learning about hand flapping and rocking, though. But if my son does it, I let him do it. Is it wrong?
Go for it. Have fun. That energy has to go somewhere. It's sort of like you get so happy or so excited, it has to come out. I don't know how you neurotypicals do it and don't explode just all over the place. How you have emotions. And
I certainly am a leg shaker.
Yeah.
Most
people stim in some way.
And I have caught myself, sort of doing rocking, and I'm, concentrating. What were you going to say, Laura? I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Well, I was going to say that first of all, yes, allow the stimming to continue. It's fine as long as it's not in the way. You can help control it. And what I call it channeling the lightning. So I'm finding out
channeling the lightning.
Right, it's lightning. It's going through your body like static electricity. You just can't stop it. A similar thing that I can give in neurotypical is goosebumps. You get goosebumps. You can't make them go away. They happen, right? Your body's reacting.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Or if you get cold, you shiver. How do you stop shivering? The more you try to stop shivering, you just shiver more. There's certain parts of the body that just don't want to listen to that. But I can channel that energy into something else. She's channeling it into her slinky. That's what stimming is. But instead of running around or hitting our heads in something, rocking or flapping is the way of channeling that lightning.
Yeah.
So that has to happen. Does it get better? Yes, it gets better. It gets easier to channel. And also the more access you have to education, the more brain development you get just by growing up, learning the letterboard or whatever it is that you've got to do to communicate, that helps because you're getting out of your cage.
Did you stim, or do you recall stimming when you were
my
little?
mom said I always rubbed my lip.
Yeah, yep.
This was my thing.
How about your lip?
Upper lip has so many sensory receptors. You
Right.
can.
You always know where your nose is.
lot. You got a whole lot of extra sensors right in there.
Yeah.
So if you might see kids rubbing things against their face,
Yeah.
especially the upper lip, because it's super sensitive.
You also know where it is.
Textures.
You always know where your face is. So when you get too sensory overloaded, you lose where your hands and your feet are in space, but you can find your nose.
Right.
It's always here. I always talk about this numbness that I get right here when I get overstimulated. I always know where my face is. So when I need to find the rest of my body, I can find my nose. And now I know where my hands are, so then my hands can find my chest, and then find my knees, put my feet on the floor, and then I can stand up.
Yeah.
I'm finding my body again.
Yeah.
But I want to go back, though, to the root of that question, the do I stop my kid from stemming? And as a parent, I think the reason we ask this question isn't because of embarrassment, but because of fear that somebody might take advantage of a child if they look vulnerable.
Right.
So I'm going to tell you that I've lived on both sides of that. I've lived on the side of being isolated and alone and being quiet about it. Don't let anybody know I have this. And guess what? People see it anyway.
Oh,
and it made me more of a target. And I got into bad relationships. I got into bad situations because I was isolated. Think about what cults do. They withdraw you from your familiar surroundings. They fill your head with information, but they isolate you.
Yeah.
That's not going to help. This kid has to live in the world. So the better thing is to do is to build a community around the child that understands.
Yeah.
And that's going to take one big thing for parents to do. And this is really, really hard for moms like us to do.
Right.
We have to understand that there are actually other people on this earth that can love our children as much as we do. And when you can let that happen, you build a community. And that way, if something happens to you, you're not around, your kid has the community you've built for them and loves them. You have to be that. So you got to be open about the stemming. You got to be open about the autism for that to happen.
Yeah. Did either of you experience sensing that your parents were embarrassed by you?
My mom didn't sense. She just let me know. She kicked me under the table or hold my hands down. She's not doing that right now.
Oh,
so you were restrained. You were.
Oh, that's terrible.
The vice grip. I know the vice grip really well.
Yeah.
No, that's
Mama.
That's awful. Never do that to your children. I will find you. I will come to your door. We'll have words. Knocks on the door. So, not so much. No, but there were times where I knew that I embarrassed my sister. I knew that I was the reason my parents weren't invited to parent-teacher anythings. I knew that my family was isolated in the school community because of me. I knew that my sister was treated badly because of me. I knew that in the playground, the kids would go up to my sister and say, "You're Elsbeth's sister. Are you as retarded as she is?" I knew that, that I was isolated because my sister would come home with birthday invitations, and I never did. I knew that
It's hard.
Yeah. I knew that the first time I went to a sleepover, my mom cried because she was like, she finally got invited to a sleepover.
Was it fun?
Yeah, it was all right. I mean, it was a sleepover. I guess it was okay. I mean, I was not as interested. I was like, wait, sleeping at someone else's house. I'm always nervous the first time I sleep somewhere that isn't my house because I'm like, this is not my house. But no, you're isolated. You are different. That there is a barrier between you and your classmates. You are not like them. And I think
they know you're not like them.
And they know it too. Yeah. And they will use it whether you have the word autism or whether you're on, you don't know, they can smell it from a mile off. And I think that that's why people on the spectrum tend to join the autism community and see autism as an identifier of self, because we have felt that isolation, not just in a I'm alone, but in the I can't relate to these people at all. I don't know what they want. I don't know what to do. We're not connecting on any level. And so you meet other people from the same side of the fence, and you're like, holy cow, Batman, this is fantastic. We're going to talk about all these things. And so the autism community has embraced autism as sort of as an identifier. I am autistic. Mm-hmm. Because it's that thing that everyone around you said, you are less because of, you are different. We don't want people like you. And so you sort of defense up and you meet other people on the spectrum, and we're all like, yeah, I'm autistic. This is how I am, and that's very much a part of my life.
Yeah. Laura is wondering about. Sorry, what did you want to say?
Well, I was going to address just real quick too.
Yeah.
Being verbal or not verbal is not. It doesn't change the argument here.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is this misconception that if an autistic person can speak, their life is presented to them better. It comes with a host of other problems because a new set of expectations also come with it.
No.
So when you're nonverbal and no one presumes competence, that's bad. It's very, very bad. When you're verbal, they start presuming not just competence, but that you can correct all of your behavior. So it suddenly goes to a bar way above everybody else.
Yeah.
And so it being verbal or nonverbal from the start doesn't change the societal
It's
mix
just
up
a
or problem.
whole new set of problems.
Right. They're just different problems.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? You can't, and
Yeah.
because I get this a lot. I'll go to speaking engagements. People say, "Oh, but you've always been."
Oh, but you're
speaking.
nothing like my child.
Right. You're my kid's non-speaking, therefore it's different.
Yeah.
What a load of rubbish.
There's a lot of people on letterboards. Jordan Zwaki Journey and Carly Fleshman. Actually, she's a Canadian too.
Yep.
That use typing or pointing at letters to communicate, and they're backing up these things that I'm saying.
Yeah.
They experience this the same way, the same isolation.
Yeah.
You said somebody's asking about social masking.
Yeah, Laura wanted, could you talk about social masking and what does that mean to you?
Every day is like a job interview. You know how you go to
Every day is like a job
Every day is
interview.
like a job interview. Have you ever been to a job interview and you've had to pretend to be something you're not? Whether that's, oh, I live for making coffee. Oh my gosh, and immediately you step into it. And we were just trained how to do that in order to survive. Where you sit up straighter, you put your hands in your lap, and you say, "Oh, hello, how are you?
Yeah.
I'm fine. That's great. How are the kids? Oh, that's awesome. Wonderful.
Right.
Say hi to Tim for me. Bye." And you do that whole song and dance routine, and you pass. And this is exhausting.
Yeah.
This is exhausting. Like, how tired you are after a job interview?
Yeah.
It's that, but like I stepped out the door.
Yeah.
I stepped out the door. Every day is a job interview, and you just sort of pray that you don't mess it up too bad this time. And so when I go home and I shut my door. I go to my bedroom, or I go to the spare room where I do a lot of art, and I need to shut down for at least 2 hours a day, and I can't be with anyone to unwind that, because if your entire day is a job interview, one after the other, 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 and disclosing autism isn't just a one-time thing. Disclosing autism means, do I disclose to my employer? Yes or no?
Right.
Do I disclose to other family members? Yes or no? Are they going to accept that? Yes or no? Do I disclose to my teachers, the faculty at school, my friends? Do I disclose to a person I'm dating? When do I disclose?
Mm-hmm.
And what am I going to do if that goes badly?
Right.
Do I disclose to people on the street who look at me funny because I'm talking to I'm scripting and I'm talking to myself?
Yeah.
Every damn day
is
a job interview. And so there is this misconception that because I am high functioning, which is a terrible label, it means that I can keep up with you. And I can't. On the one hand, there's a plus. You don't see disability as easily, so you say, Elsbeth must have it easier. It's just a whole other kettle of fish.
Yeah.
It's just a new level of difficulty, because the expectation is Elsbeth will get a job. Well, Elsbeth's facing an 80% unemployment rate, so that sucks.
Yeah.
It also means that Elsbeth is living below the poverty line, so that sucks.
Yeah.
It also means that, Elsbeth, while she advocates, runs into people who say, well, you're so high functioning, you can't speak for autism. And that's a huge barrier for us. I can't tell you, you run into people. I remember seeing a comic that a person on the spectrum made that said you have to be this autistic to advocate for autism. And that's tiring, because there's no sweet spot.
Let me ask you, as we were talking a little bit about jobs, and you are both extremely accomplished people, right? You've got 2 degrees and a certificate, and so. Do you mind if we sort of talk about your training, and because I want to talk about job searching and what that process has been like for you. And in Laura's case, Laura is an artist and a teacher, and so she's gigging all the time, looking for gigs. So you have 2 degrees.
I'm a fine art history and anthropology double major from the University of Toronto and Sheridan Art College. I have a postgraduate degree, a piece of paper, it's a certificate program, in autism behavioral science. Since I was 18, I have done public speaking on autism spectrum disorders, whether that's going into schools and talking to staff, students, whether that's going into organizations that work with disabled people and saying, this is what we look like, this is what happens, whether it's going into university courses and doing public speaking, whether it's going into college programs for people who work with disabled children to say, this is autism, let's do this song and dance again. And it's fun. I love doing it. It's one of the things that I enjoy.
So needless to say,
you've
got some skills.
You've got
some talent. You're a smart cookie.
I'm not dumb. I can.
And Laura, you're not that this is about what degrees you have and don't have and that sort of thing, but just your background and training. You are a music teacher.
Yeah, I went to Agnes Scott College in the United States. I studied psychology. I have my equivalent of an associate's. I don't have the associate's degree because I don't offer one, but I majored in psychology and minored in education. I played in my first symphony orchestra as a paid professional at the age of 14. I started playing at the age of 10. So I have a long history, 2 state titles. Been teaching for 25 years this year and advocating for autism for 15 years this year. In the 15 years I've been advocating for autism, I have been paid twice for my services.
Oh yeah, you don't get paid in this.
No.
They pay you in mugs.
And t-shirts, right?
Yeah. I paid you in dinner.
That's true. We got paid in food.
I got you dinner.
Food is great.
So there's a difference in volunteering your time and being part of a nonprofit and then being shouldered out while other people are getting paid. And so I'll show up to these places where people are getting continuing education credits for coming to hear me speak. I have a college debt I can't get rid of because that's the way we do it in the States. And I don't get paid, or I get paid very little, while everyone else leaves that room with the information I've given them as an insight, as a professional, and they make a living wage. They make a wage that they can support and live and have their family on. My top, and I want to disclose right now, I'm not saying any of this for any. Don't feel sorry for me. I don't want to hear it.
No, we're talking. We're being real here.
Right. I just want to
be real. This isn't complaining, and
I can complain.
No, this, and the point of this conversation is to be real.
Is awareness. Yeah. And I'm 41 years old. The most I've ever made in a year is 18,000 American, at a few thousand Canadian. I have 2 kids that I've raised on my own. I'm a single parent, and so without community, without family help, I would be on the streets. I mean, statistically, that's where I should be. Actually, statistically, I should be dead. But that's just kind of where I am right now. And I'm an entrepreneur. I've started.
Wait a minute. Statistically, you should be dead?
Yes. If you look at statistics for a single mother that started a family at age 21, has a disability, has a child with a disability, and came from an unhealthy relationship, yes, statistically, I should have already been.
Yeah, and there's a high suicide rate for autistic adults.
Right. I think it's 70-something%. Yeah. It's pretty high up there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that I've actually fought to get where I am. And we were talking about social masking earlier. One of the things that's really frustrating is showing up. I am not discounting the people that have degrees. I have a lot of friends that have amazing work. My stomach keeps growling, sorry. I've done amazing work in special needs, and I love them dearly. And they have earned every cent that they have. I'm not saying that at all. But it does get frustrating when people come to me, get free advice from me, turn around, go to another professional, and they pay that professional $100 an hour to implement it because they believe somebody like me on the spectrum isn't able to do it.
Yep.
So it's hard. It's like you live in this. You live on this crack, this chasm that you can't pull together and you can't push apart and fall into. Mm-hmm. You're just hanging out in the outer rims of space here, waiting for somebody to realize that there's value in what you're providing for society. Mm-hmm. people are listening right now. People are watching now because they see value in what we're saying. And all we're saying is that's great. We want to do more than that, but we also want to pay our rent and we want to feed our kids and, not wear the same pair of jeans for 10 years in a row, until the ratty and the holes coming through it. You know how hard it is to get hired when you show up to work with pants, with raggy pants?
So Laura, I want to get into specifics with both of you because, and some people watching and listening to you will go, here are two incredibly articulate people who can identify their challenges, who can identify their triggers. And, I think of, we talked about this a few hours ago, I remember my mom used to talk to me about something which she called people being past the age of forgiveness. Right. So in other words, boys who weren't maturing, who weren't getting a job, who weren't getting their crap together, and behaving irresponsibly, and there is a point when you stop being cute that people accept you. Like I think about that. I think about when Charlie stops being cute, what's going to happen, right? But if you can identify all of these challenges, and we've just touched on them, right? Like I know that you both have, you've both been through a lot. If you can identify your challenges, why can't you fix them?
Just because you know that the car has engine trouble doesn't mean you fixed the engine. Like you can say, oh, the car has engine troubles, but if you can't fix the engine, you can compensate. So I can compensate, but I can only compensate so much.
Yeah.
So, just because I know what I need and I can therefore put steps in place to act as fail-safes, I can put steps in place to say, this is what we're going to do to help, to mitigate, to get the most out of the situation. Doesn't mean that situation is still going to be there. I'm still autistic, and I'm doing a lot better than I used to even 10 years ago. But I'm still on the spectrum. I still have autism, and that means that there are going to be some stuff that I suck at. And there's
all of us have stuff that we suck at,
Yeah.
But Laura, like what I'm getting at is I am aware of a few situations where you have applied or you thought that you had a gig.
Right.
You thought you had a contract with someone and it completely fell through.
Right.
And you have expressed to me your confusion.
Right.
About what happened. I thought we had a deal.
Right.
Now, this happens to artists all the time. So I'm referring to like, are you aware of the steps that may have not happened in order to procure the job, and there's been a complete misunderstanding, or are you baffled when things go south fast?
I'm usually baffled.
Yeah.
People around me aren't as much. They'll look at something and go, okay, well, maybe this or maybe that.
Yeah.
So here's my thoughts on it. This is a really difficult question to answer.
I understand that, and it's weird to ask because when something goes wrong and you don't understand it, how can I get that information I want from you? But I know it happens to both of you.
It's kind of like being lost, right?
Yeah.
I mean, really being lost.
Yeah.
You've driven out someplace, your car ran out of gas, you don't have a GPS signal, you're just lost.
Yeah.
You're lost. And you know that you might need to walk a certain direction, and you might have some vague idea of what direction that is, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You still don't know where you are. You're still not entirely certain how you got there, because who's recording all of those steps?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You're getting to the next step. Who's cataloging all of that, right?
Yeah.
But there's one more layer to this that people are missing, and that is don't mistake polysyllables for understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Just because I'm putting together complete sentences that sound articulate doesn't mean that I'm processing everything you're sending me the same
How
way.
hard are you working right now in talking to me?
I have a horrible headache right now.
You have a horrible headache right now.
My head is pounding.
I have Tylenol. Do you want some?
No, not right now though. Thanks.
Okay.
It's just because I'm working a lot to pull out words to make sure that the words that I'm sending out correctly convey what I want to. I'm fighting a speech impediment. I have stress from a week that's been going on. I, by the skin of my teeth, made rent last month, so I'm carrying all that.
Yeah.
So, it's the same thing of like, you're drowning, why don't you just swim to the side? There's so much that you're dealing with right now. Yeah, you might be cognizant of something needs to happen, you don't know what it is. Yeah. Executive functioning is one of the hardest things to learn. And I want to point out something because this frustrates me out of me. My dad worked corporate America my whole life growing up. Okay, that was where he was.
Yeah.
He had a secretary that took all of his appointments and wrote all of his letters for him and did everything for him, made a call, set up his lunch. They had a travel agent that did all the travel arrangements. All my dad had to do was sell. That was his job, so he sold.
Yeah.
He had a team of people doing everything else, and that was considered elite, and they paid him more money because he had a team of people. But I need a team of people, and I'm dysfunctional, or I don't have everything figured out, or shouldn't have help.
Yeah.
And I think, like you talked about, that age when you're supposed to be, that age of accountability.
Yeah. For
girls, that starts as soon as we walk into a co-ed classroom.
Yes.
We're always expected
to
be more mature and more together and more organized than guys. I remember for the short time I was married and my husband forgot to send a birthday card to his mother, and it was my fault. It's like, it's your mother.
Yeah.
Why is it my fault?
Yeah.
You want to deal with, switch moms? You deal with the Italian mother. I'll go deal with your mother you haven't seen in 10 years. So whatever. So it's kind of a joke. So anyway, but
it's a good joke.
It gets frustrating.
Yeah.
So as an entrepreneur, let me tell you, without talking too much, let me tell you what a day is like for me.
Please do.
Okay, I have a 17-year-old living at home with me, and I also have a 19-year-old his parents kind of ditched him, and so he's living with us now, and he's doing really well. But and then I have my own 19-year-old daughter who's in college in Western Massachusetts. So I wake up in the morning, and I suffer from night terrors. So shifting from nighttime to daytime is a special routine. I have a light bulb that slowly gets light, which, by the way, I've had to save up for 3 years to get. And I have my whole morning routine set up. The morning routine isn't because I like sameness. The morning routine is to get my nervous system in order so I can get as far through the day as I can before I start feeling like someone's pulling my nervous system out of my body.
Okay.
I get up. I go and get my breakfast. Then I go wake my son up, who's also autistic and 17 and having trouble understanding what mornings are for. So I am back and forth between getting myself ready, following my own routine, and going in and helping my son with his routine. Okay, now the buzzing in my ears starts. So I'm hearing a buzzing noise in my ears because my sensory system's getting overloaded.
Yeah.
And I just now, here come words. My words have clicked in. Now I can speak. So that usually takes about 45 minutes when I wake up in the morning to be able to talk.
Yeah.
And so then I get everything together, and then I go back and I help my son. And then the next thing is, okay, I know I need to earn more money. What do I do now? Well, I'm providing everything I know how to do. I built my own website. I designed my own logo. I actually have 2 websites, one for my self-advocating, one for my teaching. I organize my own schedule.
What's your website?
Enlightenedaudio.org.
Enlightenedaudio.org.
I fix instruments. I sell instruments. I sell instrument cases. I go to schools and I help them with I'm telling them what it's like to live with. If I have to explain autism to one more person in a day, I swear it's like, and I love helping others, but this is what I'm doing all the time.
Yeah.
I work all day long, making phone calls, visiting schools. I get home at the end of the day and go, I just worked all day and I didn't earn any money. Then I feed my son. I put him to bed. I lay in bed for an hour. I worry about it. Actually, today I spent half an hour crying next to the lake because I have a sick parent and I have a lot on my mind and I don't know what to do. And it took me a week and a half to process the emotions from that. So where in there am I supposed to find executive functioning skills to fix what went wrong with the day?
Yeah.
My day starts a little bit differently.
Yeah, tell us about an average day for you.
So, it does depend on, we're going to go on a Monday because that's sort of my peak time. So on a Monday, because I only work two days a week for 10 hours a week. So that means I don't earn enough money to pay first month's rent, so I live at home. I also don't like change, so I live at home. I've lived in that house since 1989. I'm not leaving. Mom says you have to sell the house with me chained to it. So I get up and like Laura, my language kicks in, but my language kicks in a little bit differently where I start to script. So when I get up, I start talking to myself and I really hope I'm alone in the house. Usually when I start talking to myself, it's a practice of social interactions or social things that I'm expecting that I'm going to have to go through. Oftentimes it's going through my talks on autism and going through scripts again, just for conversations that I think I'm going to have.
So do you try to imagine the kinds of conversations you'll have in a day with the various people you're going to see?
Yes. If there's a big one, yes, absolutely. Sometimes it's not about language, it's about how the words feel and flow. So language is
how the words feel and flow.
It's not just about talking, it's about feeling them. It's about enunciating that flow of language. And so you get caught on something and you repeat it. So you get caught on something and you repeat it. So you get caught on something and you repeat it, but like with different ways, so that you can feel it.
So you're trying to surf language?
Yep. And so you go through, and eventually once we've had our, the morning chat, once my language has come back online, there's breakfast. Mondays are days.
This is all before breakfast.
Oh yeah, we haven't eaten yet.
Okay, we haven't eaten yet.
We haven't eaten yet. And then it's, do I take my attention deficit disorder meds, which means that I get to do stuff today. If I don't take my attention deficit disorder meds, we're going to be at that kitchen table for a while, thinking about the things we have to do today, but not actually getting up and doing it. It's like there's a pause, a hiccup, where you're like,
okay,
I have all these things. I have all these things. And so, right, if you take the meds, you're going to start making a list.
And you concur with that, Laura?
Yeah, and I'm not on any meds because in the States this stuff is unaffordable.
But
okay, go ahead.
So, if I take my meds, it means that I'm making a list. If I don't take my meds, it means that I am going to try to use a kitchen timer to get myself going. So it's Monday, so it's clean the main floor day. So that means the kitchen floor needs to be washed. That means the main floor needs to be vacuumed. That means that the main floor needs to be dusted. It means that if it's the large clean of the main floor, that means I also have to wash the hallway, the downstairs bathroom, and the upstairs bathroom floor. Once that's done, I need to work on some artwork for myself. I need to job search. Every Monday I job search. I make sure that I apply to 2 jobs every Monday, just sort of drop in the bucket. Doesn't matter what you apply to, just apply as often as you can. For Laura, I see your comment, and I know you've been super patient. Support your kid. I know you support your kids wonderfully, but I mean, like in general, support them through the frustration, through the absolute hair-pulling frustration of putting out resumes, never hearing back from anyone, or hearing back that it's just not the right time for you to be hired by Chapters yet. And you're like, when can I afford to live, Chapters?
Or Apple
when will my paycheck? When will my paycheck come home from the war?
Exactly.
That one's fine.
None of which I assume are dream jobs for either.
No,
right?
No, but it's I need to eat food.
I have executive functioning skills, so the thing I really want to do is organize your books.
So I apply for 2 jobs. I then also do OAC work, gets done on Mondays, because that's the Bifenton day. So we check in with the OAC, we check in with comments, you try to answer a few parent questions to, help out with kids. My kid eats road salt. What do I do? Okay, hopefully this works. Then there's lunch, and you got to eat food, because Bifenton
remembering to eat. Sorry.
Yeah, you don't eat.
Wait a minute, I'm passing out.
I never ever forget to eat.
Oh, I forget all the time.
Oh yeah. You don't recognize that you're hungry until
you hit the
you're
floor.
Dead. And I also get work done on a comic, because I like to make comics. There's not a whole lot of money
leisure
for that.
time.
Oh, I know. I don't have kids though, so that's easier. So I do a lot of artwork. I then have to make phone calls for the autism social group that I help to run on the side. So you're phoning everybody else to make sure that this Saturday is the day, and we're going to be there. So you got to phone everybody after lunch.
After lunch, Go on.
So, once we hit a certain time with Bifenton is a timed release of the med. So it releases a little bit in the morning, a little bit in the afternoon, a little bit in the evening. You have till 5 o'clock.
Okay.
When I start to come down from Bifenton, I have to take, my anxiety just
skyrockets.
So I had to take another med called, what's that one?
I don't know.
That's a good one. I have to take my good meds. and clonazepam. It's a diazepam. It's an anti-anxiety, and you're stoned for the rest of the evening. So enjoy. So I start to panic around 4 or 5 o'clock, and at that point, you're just holding it together. I try to take my mom out for a walk because she had a heart attack recently, and we need to make sure that she's walking. I try to make sure that I get out of the house because I find that I get isolated a lot. Because I don't work, because I don't go anywhere, because there's nowhere to go and there's no money to spend and there isn't much for adults to do because you were old when you turned 18. So I try to go out with her for that walk or out to the grocery store with her. The new comic list for new comics comes out on Monday. We look forward to that. That's like a high comics holiday. So we check the comic list to see what good stuff comes out, realize you have no money for it. Who cares? We're going to buy them anyway. We're here for a good time, not a long time. And so, Monday is wild. Monday's the day that you get everything kind of done. You're also emailing people like my support worker who, I work through with employment agencies that work with people with disabilities. So you're checking in with them to say, have you found me anything? What can you do? Like, what are we doing?
What do you do to help yourself? Because clearly you guys have really busy minds.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on up there.
Yeah,
For me, none of that stuff happens in my head. Even when I'm anxious, there's not that many details floating around.
Oh.
What do you do to give yourself some relief? Like, how do you get off this crazy thing?
You mindlessly watch Hell's Kitchen. You watch Gordon Ramsay yell at people. It's raw, and you're like, yes, I wish I could yell at people like Gordon does.
Yeah. He gives himself a lot of permission.
I can't yell at anybody without getting in trouble. No, it is stressful because you go to bed that night and you think, I'm almost 30. I work 10 hours a week. I don't make enough money to have my own apartment. My circle of friends in my hometown is very small. Oh great, I'm going to die alone, and I'm not. If it weren't for my parents, I'd be on the street, and I owe them money, and I don't have any money, and I need to get a job. Should I go back to school? But I don't have enough money to go back to school to get a job, and you feel like a failure because. And you remember what the teachers in your elementary school were saying to kids, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I think about 6-year-old me, and would she be proud of me or would she hate me? Would she be proud of me or would she hate me?
I don't know how she would feel, but I feel pretty proud.
I mean,
and I'm not your mom.
Thank you.
This is something that we parents really need to understand, and I don't really know what to do. I want very much to be a rich person and hire you both. You don't
have to be though.
Yeah.
So
what should I be? What should I do? How can I help?
You're doing it right now. You're doing it right now. As far as what society can do, it's that much.
It's that much.
It's so little that.
What could an employer, since we're talking about jobs, change?
I don't
open your mind.
Yeah.
Understand that hiring people with disabilities is not charity. It is good business sense. I am on time. I don't miss work because it's a part of my routine. I hate missing work. I know where I'm meant to be. It's 1 p.m. on a Thursday. I'm working. And I don't take sick days unless I'm vomiting. I don't call in sick. I don't miss work because, again, I don't like it. I am very loyal to my job because it's my only job. So, and I where I work, I love where I work. I work at a comic book shop. We're golden. Like, I spend my paychecks where they're earned. So, you've got an employee who doesn't miss work, who shows up with their uniform, who shows up on time, who is going to be very picky about detail, like very detail oriented and getting the job done and making sure that it's done right. You will have a person who isn't interested in leaving your company, so you'll get a slower rate of employee turnover. This is not charity.
So somebody who's not going to let you down.
You,
Right.
yeah.
Laura, what did you want to say?
I think
It's great. It's really good.
I would like to see more programs for people with autism that teach them entrepreneurial skills. There's so many people that I know that are on the spectrum that create their own goods, write their own books. I create my own music. I want to open a school that's inclusive. There's a lot of stuff that everything about autism therapy is so functional.
Right.
Learn to bag the groceries, learn to stock the shelves, learn to do this. But autistic people dream, and they love, and they fall in love, and they hope, and they want big things because, at least speaking for myself, the world's amazing. It's big, it's beautiful, there's all these cool things. I get really mad when people mess it up. So clean up the oceans, really? Recycle your plastic. But, the world is so beautiful and so full of so many amazing surprises. Why would I want to live my whole life sewing gloves when I have more to contribute to that? I have way more to do that. I've taught hundreds of kids to play the violin over the last 25 years. I've taught a kid that's hearing impaired. I taught a kid with a prosthetic how to hold the bow. I've taught autistic
Teaching
kids,
my kid.
nonverbal kids. It doesn't matter. And it's not because it's therapy. It's because it's fun.
Because it's fun.
It's fun. You should get to have fun.
Yeah.
I remember going into a grocery store one time, and I was paying for my groceries with a gift card. And I was so excited about this because somebody had anonymously given me a gift card so that I could afford to take my money and buy gifts for my kids for the holidays. And it was a wonderful gift, and I was so excited. And I got to the cash register and just said, "Isn't this great? Somebody gave this to me to help me get through the holidays." And she looks down at me, she says, "But you have an iPhone." Okay, well, that iPhone was given to me by my father. I was on my dad's cell phone plan. He was paying the plan so that I had a way to communicate and set up my website and run my own business because that was how I made a living. Or people look at you and say, "But you have nice shoes." Well, they were a gift.
Yep.
I'm tired
for my
of
coat.
justifying my existence.
Yeah.
Why can't I have a vacation? Why can't I have fun? Why can't I lay down and watch Friends all day long if I wanted to every once in a while?
Yeah.
Why does that come with such a layer of guilt? Not just as an autistic person, but as a single mother. It's like so much more is expected of me. And now there's this big thing going around the internet that the reason that kids shut up the school in Park, wherever it was in Florida,
Yeah. And
was
we did not
because
need that.
there was
Thank
no
you.
father present. Really? So you've just now taken me apart not only as an autistic person but as an autistic woman. So now I'm like the lowest rung.
Yeah.
It's so annoying, and the world can be so much more. So what can you do as a parent? Believe that there's other people out there that can love your child as much as you. Be open to society about what's going on with your kid and build a community of people because we're better in numbers. If I go into a store and I'm having trouble with management there and they give me a hard time, if I show back up with 25 people, this is going to be a problem next time now, is it? Because I have a community backing me up. I have a community calling the local news media and saying, "Look what they did to this person," and holding that place accountable for the behavior that shouldn't be acceptable. Right? Now, that's what we need. We need others to not be so afraid of being honest about what we are.
Yep.
And what we are is beautiful, chaotic people.
Yeah.
Like a star.
How are we doing for time, guys?
It's been
Like,
48 minutes.
It's 48 minutes with this bout. What time is it now?
I can't
don't
read that.
I can't read it either.
It is 9:22.
9:22. So we've been at this almost an hour and a half.
Okay.
And I feel like we barely scratched
Oh,
the
yeah.
surface.
Autism is
You
one
know?
of those topics you could talk all day
We could
about.
talk all night,
Yeah.
and were there any other questions? They sort of disappeared in the scroll.
What's
But
the-
Kathy asks, what was most helpful to you growing up?
Patience. A lot of patience and a lot of
Patience.
people willing to get down to my level.
Yeah.
I remember in high school, I suddenly was at a school that was much more equipped to deal with children with differences. I went to an inner city school. I went to a school where a lot of the problem kids got sent. So if you were willing to be there in class, they would bend over backwards for you. They're like, "Hey, let's keep that one. She at least shows up." you know, she's here.
She's on time. She knows where she's supposed to be and what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, she goes to class.
She's been rehearsing all morning to get there.
So we're fine. I remember my mom calling the school and the school saying, "You're the only parent here who knows where their kid is supposed to be." Like, fantastic. So my science teacher after class said, "You know, you've been drawing a lot through class. What's that about?" And that was phenomenal because no one ever asked why I did what I did. No one ever asked why, you know, what things were for, like school-wise. No one asked. They just told you shouldn't be doing that, not why you shouldn't be doing that, or with the bare minimum of, it's rude. Well, you're rude. Like, your face
maybe
is
they're
rude.
rude in pointing it out.
Your face is rude.
So rude this.
Yeah. But like for someone to ask me was phenomenal. And she then listened to my explanation as to why I felt that I needed to draw. I have difficulty paying attention. It's this or tearing my hands apart. What do you want? And I didn't put it like that. I was a lot more polite.
I'm sure you were.
And she was great. She sat with me and we came up with a plan and, you know, okay, well, try 15 minutes and then you can draw.
Right.
You know, work with me with my strategies. Don't just assume that, you know, that people with autism haven't tried to find our own fixes. Because we have. They may not be the best fix.
Well, sometimes by the time we get to it, it's too late.
Oh gosh, you know. But like we are living human beings. We're trying to adapt to our own you know, and we're trying to change our environment or, you know, adapt behavior to our own environment. So, you know, just having someone that listened, that took the time to ask and then listen to me and respect my answer. Like I had agency, I had choice, I had a chance to discuss what my needs were. Like, shoot, that was phenomenal. And I stayed very loyal to her and to her class. You know, and that sort of, wow, this is
And you had to wait how many years before?
14.
You were 14 years old before an adult outside your family asked you, how can I help? What do you need?
Yeah, more or less. Especially in the older years of grade 6, 7, and 8. No, my 6th grade teacher's method of teaching was to scream at me. So I stopped asking for help because I would rather get the answer wrong than be screamed at. So, you know, like, no. And other people knew about it. And again, it's a level of abuse. And so you've got, when you're working with people with autism, like, you are often meeting people who have experienced a level of abuse, whether known or unknown. And they're reacting under that premise that I'm going to receive the same treatment again. Or I don't understand how we got here, so I don't understand how I can avoid doing it again. You know, it's so.
Can you share, Laura, about something that's helpful for you?
I can keep it pretty funneled down because I have a little routine for this. There's 3 things that I found the most important, and it's important to disclose right now that I'm already in my 40s. So I'm a little further down life road.
You look like a kid.
I got 2 teenagers, and I've lived on my own since I was 18. So a little bit different perspective on things. So 1, give me room to fail. Failure is an important learning tool. And sometimes you have to make the mistake yourself to understand it and work through it. So I tell parents, you know, unless the kid is headed for a lake and can't swim, let them screw it up. Right? I sold everything I owned a year and a half ago. My house, everything. I moved up here. I lived off of the savings for the last year to take a chance. Have I made all the right decisions? No. It's going to take me 2 years, not 1. So I'm scrambling around to figure out where I'm going to get the extra year. But this is good. I'm actually getting to take a chance to touch my dream. And if it doesn't happen for me, it's going to hurt a lot. But it's a lot better to fail than to have never tried at all. I think it was Wayne Gretzky that says you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Let us fail. It's okay. And with special ed, it's, you know, especially we tend to really, like you say, wrap the kid in bubble wrap. You know? So that's the first one. The second one is a mentor that connects with you. I'm very big on mentors. Finding that one person, that one teacher that can relate to you. Mine was my music teacher. And even though I could outplay her at quite a young age, my mom kept taking me back to the same teacher because this teacher spoke to me and allowed me to express myself. That was very good for my development.
Yeah.
The last thing, and this is the easiest one, just love others. Whatever capacity that is for you. Some people can love deeper than others, and that's okay. I'm not here to that. Love is just this huge ball of energy, and when you just direct a little bit of it at somebody else, they feel it. It's amazing what that can do. So next time you're at a store and you see some grown-up say something inappropriate, instead of getting all upset and putting that negative energy out, take a deep breath and think, how would I want somebody to address that grown man if that grown man were my kid grown up?
Yeah. How often do you have to turn the other cheek?
All the time.
Wait a minute, we have two cheeks?
You have to. I have 4.
We a lot, because there's a lot of ways that autistic people can't come back at others. Like I can't because
you don't have the snappy.
No, well, I mean, not necessarily. I'm one of those people who's like 5 minutes later, and another thing.
right.
Yeah,
everything you should have said.
Yeah.
But no, but because
It's better. You get to be 40 and nothing stops coming out.
Oh,
you
great.
say exactly what you mean. You're like,
Wait
yes.
for 50.
just
wait.
no, because again, there's that expectation. Because we're not given as much leeway as other people. Because when you have a disability and when it's noticeable like autism, when people say, I don't know what's up with that person, but they're weird and I don't trust them. When I'm out in the community, I don't just represent me, Elsbeth. I represent the autism community. I am an ambassador. All of us are, all the time. Because if I behave poorly, people will say, oh, she's autistic.
And therefore, all autistic people are like that.
That's such a shame. It's such a shame. Yeah. What can you do? I mean, she's so disabled. That's such a shame. And you represent your entire community every single day, all the time. So if a bunch of bullies come up and they start shoving you, or they start, coming up and doing stuff in the schoolyard, you can't punch them back. Because the school, if you hit back, it becomes your fault. The school dives into your records, finds out you're autistic, says, oh, are they a danger? Are they dangerous? And the last thing we need is for people to associate autism with being a threat. I mean, look at the schizophrenic community. That's not worked out well for them. And they are much more likely to be victims than they are to be perpetrators of violence. But thank you, Hollywood. That's not what people believe.
Yeah.
And so with the autism community, and what I will often say to young adults is, you're an adult now, and they're going to take the kid gloves off, and they're going to treat you like one. And unfortunately, it's going to kick back for all of us. Your hands are tied, not just to protect yourself, but to protect us all. The moment they think you are dangerous, it's over.
Have you had that experience where if you disclosed that you were a person on the autism spectrum, that suddenly they were afraid of you, or thought that you would be unpredictable or unpredictable, or even a threat?
My diagnosis came so late. I didn't have this thing in school. I actually get quite confused by that.
I'm confused by that too.
So my son has been compared to Adam Lanza in school. A teacher in an IEP meeting compared him to Adam Lanza because he kicked a filing cabinet.
And who's Adam Lanza?
He was the kid of the Newtown shooter that they say was on the autism spectrum, which, by the way, he did not have the diagnosis. That was done by a television psychiatrist during an interview.
Doesn't matter because it's out there now.
Now, right.
Guess who has to clean that mess up? Yeah. It's us.
Right.
So you have to be super good.
Oh,
super civilized.
Yeah.
Right. So what is that I get asked a lot to babysit, but I get asked less seldom to teach. It's like, why do you trust me with the life of your child, but you don't trust me to be able to teach your child? Yeah. It kind of goes back to the nanny. When Black women used to nanny children, nobody thought about it. When they got college educations and became professors and teachers, I don't want my kid being taught by a Black lady.
Yeah.
It's the same story played through in other people. Yeah. I don't know where it gets mixed up. I don't know where it happens, other than that ego gets in the way. So as a parent, you have an expectation before your child's even born. Is it going to be like mom? Is it going to be like dad? Are they going to be a lawyer? Are they going to be this? You get all excited and built up. And that's fine until the child doesn't fit. So
and there is a mourning with that.
Yeah.
There is a real
and
sense for parents. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's not to like not validate that, but like at some point you need to realize
suck it up and move on.
Yeah.
Suck it up and
Yeah.
move on.
Sorry.
Suck it up.
But
Yeah.
like your kid could have been born with Down syndrome. They could have had schizophrenia. They could have been in a horrible car accident and gotten brain damage. You could have rolled the dice on anything.
Or you could have never had a kid.
Or you could have never had a kid at all.
Yeah.
So like
Here we are.
And I don't
Yeah.
like it when autism
Sorry.
is compared to cancer.
Oh
because-
no, and I don't mean to with that. I'm just saying that like you never know.
You never know
You
what
never know.
life will bring you.
Yeah. That life happens.
I think that you touch on something really important for those of us who are parenting children to try to understand. And I know that I did go through a period of mourning the child that didn't come.
Yeah.
You know? But I also felt that I had to get rid of that as fast as I possibly could because I didn't ever want Charlie to feel like I didn't want him.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
You know, and I
We
do,
understand.
you know,
It's a huge
and
burden for people. on
yeah,
the
that's
spectrum.
not. It is like, you know, this happened. This kind of thing happens in families all the time, you know, and getting rid of that is extremely important. I never wanted him to ever feel that or ever sense that in any way. I think it's possible that a lot of people get really stuck in that. That we
Yeah.
have these benchmarks that we're
I
talking
understand
about.
that to a
you
whole
know,
different level than a lot of people. Is I have
Yes,
a
you do.
neurotypical daughter too.
Yeah.
And there's times that I didn't understand her or know what to do or know what she needed.
yeah,
But it was interesting. People were more willing to step in with my daughter and provide the neurotypical things that she needed that I couldn't fulfill for it. 2 reasons. 1, they were already set up in society for her.
Yeah.
And 2, I was willing to admit, hey, I don't know what my kid needs here. Will you help me?
yeah,
And so those 2 things work hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
So if it's the other way around and you're the neurotypical parent with the autistic child, and you finally get to that point, you're going, hey, I can't handle this by myself. I need help. And then you look out in the world and you're like, nope, sorry, there's no help.
yeah.
That's hard, and we understand that. We understand that that's how we don't expect everyone to navigate. So that's why we're sitting here
Yeah.
doing what we're doing over and over again and justifying why we have autism and what it is. This is why we get out in public and do this all the time, is to make it easier for parents.
And you're exposing yourselves.
Ha
That's after midnight. You know,
No.
stay tuned.
No, there won't be that.
Yeah, but you are, and thank you again for doing this.
Yes.
We don't know how many people will watch. Our conversation has taken many different directions, and I still feel like we've just barely scratched the surface. I would like to do this again if you're willing.
I don't actually have a bedtime until I take my trazodone, so
Yeah.
we can just keep going.
We can just keep on going.
And
Well,
I'm
what we want
available
is we want
anytime.
people to take in the information and these Facebook Lives. Apologies to everyone. They do go on. This is not like a TV broadcast, and we're not professionals. This is meant to be a live chat for people to chime in as they wish to, and whoever watches, and whoever catches us after the fact or scrolls through and fast forwards, you know, it's up to them. The OAC, we want to make sure that people understand that the OAC is a real mixed group.
Oh, and I want to be
Yeah.
Canadian, so if anybody wants to
And Laura wants to be Canadian. She unofficially you are one of us.
I'm
for
Canadian
sure.
at heart.
Yeah,
We're in red and
unofficially you
white.
are
You're
one
doing
of
better
us.
than the 2 of us.
She's got her patriotic colors. I asked Miko this. We did a live chat with a young man on the autism spectrum a couple months ago. He's a great guy. And when I asked him this question, I said, I want to ask you a stupid question. And this is a stupid question. I think some parents wonder if their children love them.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
absolutely.
Parents wonder if
Wow.
their kids love them
Yeah.
Yeah.
at some point or another.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, you live with people and you're going to butt heads with them. I'm not somebody who deals with a whole lot of feelings very well, so I tend to not, I don't don't talk to me about that.
Don't talk about that.
I'm like one of those old grandpas who's like
The
never
word-
told their kids they love them.
The word love. The word love. What does the word love mean to you, Elsbeth?
Oh, jeez. We're writing Hallmark cards now, are we?
No.
No. I'm sorry.
The word love. The word love.
Makes me uncomfortable. Actually.
Makes you uncomfortable.
For me, it's a place of vulnerability. So I don't like to do that because that's
right.
I say I love you to a very limited number of people, and 2 of them are my cats. Yeah. They're cute though. How can you not?
People really need to earn that place.
Yeah, and but yeah, I mean, yes, your kids love you. Yes, they do. Maybe they can't say it in a way that you will understand it, but love is, I mean, as much as it is important to say it in words, we demonstrate love in actions. We demonstrate love in how we will try to keep finding you, how we will come and bring you things of our special interest.
We keep trying to get along with normal people. I mean, that's
I know.
Something.
I mean, my mom once asked me how I deal with people so often, and I said Stockholm syndrome. No, it's love is understanding that I can be by myself, but I am still cared for. Whereas loneliness comes when I don't know that other people care about me or would give a darn if I just got up and walked away. How
do you know when someone cares about you?
I don't know. Because they do stuff for me, because they listen to my special interests, because they demonstrate it through action. So they don't make fun of you. They don't try to hurt you on purpose. They don't set you up to fail. They don't
setting up to fail the big one.
They don't screw around with you. They're honest with you. They're patient with you. They treat your property well. They treat you well. Like, they care about your things. Like, if somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, I love you, as they like break your stuff, you're like, no, or if someone comes in and says,
boundaries, safety, respect.
Yeah, exactly. I think my understanding of love is a little bit different because, we look for love in society, but, oftentimes, there are times where people in your life say, well, if you weren't autistic and I remember an autism advocate saying, when children hear this, it's as though you're saying that you don't want me, you wanted a stranger that you can love to move in behind my eyes. And, and so that means accepting who I am. And you know what? You don't have to love everything. I am a human disaster held together with headphones and antidepressants. But, you don't have to love everything, but you do have to look at it. You do need to look at it. And it's okay to say, I don't like your meltdowns. I don't like your shutdowns. I don't like how anxious you get. I don't like your panic attacks.
We're okay with that.
Yeah, no, I don't love those things either. I'm not like, yes, a panic attack. I live for these moments. A meltdown? Ha-ha! My day is complete. No one is like,
check that off.
Hey, a meltdown? I love those. Overstimulation. Again, please. I'll have more of that. No one is lining up for that. But you need to look at it and be there for that. Because if you're not, that love that comes with a clause, love that comes with a catch,
love that comes with a clause,
is a lie. It's hollow. It's empty. It's love that is there only when things are good, or only with the parts that I can tolerate. It's not really love, is it? Or love that says, if you were just less autistic, if you have to mask yourself all the time and not be who you are, even in your hideousness, even in your ugliness, even in the awkward moments, even when you fart really loud and it smells bad, like even in those times, you are cared for, and you don't, parents, you don't have to love everything. That's fine, but how am I supposed to stand up and keep going? How am I supposed to believe in myself if my first advocates don't? How am I supposed to do this if my first advocates are saying that I am a whole person? I always was. I was never missing pieces. I was never broken. I needed to learn stuff, and I needed to grow, and I need time to develop and to change my mind and to understand certain things. But I was always a worthwhile person. And I won't wait for society to decide that that was so. I won't wait for society to say, oh, yes, she's a real girl. I will be a real girl today, now, as I am. And I won't wait for the people outside my door to agree with me. And if they don't agree with me, then they can get out of the way and go and do whatever it is that they're doing, because I am a real girl. I am a person on the autism spectrum. I am autistic. And I won't wait for that justification, because a society that will love my neurotypical sister and give her all these opportunities and all the kinds of, which she rightly deserves because she's a very skilled young woman, but won't give me the time of day, or won't love me the same way, or, which will love one child but outcast another. That society has nothing of value to teach you. That society has nothing to offer. And the moment we tear that society down and replace it with one that offers true acceptance and true value and true, tolerance and a place of being for everybody, is, not a day too soon.
I don't know if anybody could top that, and we're not having a competition here, Laura.
I won. No, I'm kidding.
I just have to let that soak in there, Elsbeth. But I want to ask you about love.
Okay, so I'm kind of different in this one. I'm actually wide open, and I tend to love everybody. I'm the person buying the homeless guy a cup of coffee or a meal. And I can't tell you how many times I needed something, but someone needed it more than I did, so I gave it to them. I'm that person. So I feel love all the time. So I describe love in musical terms because it makes most sense to me. There's melody and there's harmony, which we're all very familiar with. Melody's the thing that you usually sing when you hear a song, right? Melody's pretty much everything. Harmony's pretty much everything else going on. But there's a special kind of harmony. It's called counterpoint. And counterpoint is another melody that's as strong as the melody, right? But it interweaves with the other melody. They're both equal. They're both strong, but they have different roles. To me, when somebody truly loves you, it is you are each other's counterpoint. You're two strong melodies that intertwine one with another, and you support each other. Now, with people on the spectrum, maybe that counterpoint is composed more like John Cage rather than Bach. Whereas Bach is nice and neat and everything's, John Cage, there's going to be these clashes and times where it's like, ooh, that's a little atonal. But the overall support is still there. And I really, really believe that people are mostly good. People really want to help. They really want to love. I really believe that, like down to my core so much that people just really want to love. And somewhere along the way in their own life path, either by a bad experience or something they were taught, or they just were left lonely when they needed support, they've developed a shell. Yeah. And that shell sometimes can get really rough and get really, really awful. I mean, think about it. Yeah, the kids that were shot in school in Florida, it's awful. But doesn't anybody ever wonder the kid that was perpetrating the crime, what led him to that point? That was the logical next step to him.
Yeah.
How do we get there?
How did he get to that point?
Right. And how did he get so far before somebody said, oh, you look like you just need loved? Yeah. And sometimes love, as Winnie the Pooh put it, is just being there. Yeah. Sit with me and be sad with me. Sit with me and be happy with me. You don't expect you to have the answers or fix it or repair it all the time. Some days I'm going to be sad and I just want to be sad, so let me be sad. Yeah. Right? And some days I'm going to laugh hysterically at things that you have no idea why I'm laughing at it. It's completely socially inappropriate, but I'm going to laugh anyway because I'm laughing, and laughing is good. Laughing is healing. So if I have to say anything at all, that's the takeaway from all of this, is that every day when you wake up and you realize that you made it through another night, you should take a deep breath, breathe in the day, breathe out all of the negative and say, okay, today I'm going to make a difference. It can be a tiny difference. Remember to water your plants. You made a difference for the plant. Whatever it is, how tiny it is, no matter how big it is, just do something every day to make a difference. And the rest of it works out, like counterpoint.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I mean,
Not bad, eh?
yeah. I
Should we
mean,
sign off?
if we have, yeah.
Okay. Thanks everyone who was watching. We'd like to do this again, and we're hoping next time. We didn't get that many questions, so we've just been talking amongst ourselves.
Ask us questions.
I know that Laura and Elsbeth would be more than willing to answer questions that you may have. Look at all the love.
Yeah.
Look at all the love.
2 of them were love and 2
Yeah.
were thumbs up.
Yeah.
And I think there was like a crying
There's
face
so
in there.
much. There's so many places we can go, and there's so many things that we can talk about. And I really thank you both. This was not easy for either of you. I know that, and I appreciate your time and how thoughtful you are. And also, I because I know you both, I know how much you care about the next generation, and that you want to help us get our crap together. And we can only do that together.
Yeah.
We can only do that as
Yep.
parents and
Yep.
children, as advocates, as
Yep.
politicians. Let's see.
And like,
Let's
talk
just
to
keep
like
talking.
a lot of people
A
on
lot
the
of
spectrum.
people.
Talk to everyone on the spectrum.
Everybody.
Talk to all the people. Like, I didn't learn about social rules just by talking to one neurotypical.
Yeah.
Go out and live with autistic people. And I mean, a lot of people do because they have kids, but like, talk to more autistic people. Talk to autistic people of color. Talk to autistic people who are married with kids or
Yeah.
single moms with kids.
Sexual
Or
orientation.
you talk
We
to
haven't talked about
transgender
that. We haven't talked about
autistic
that.
We haven't talked about
There's
college,
so many
parenting,
things.
what-
There's
Yes.
so many things.
Talk to people
Yeah.
on the spectrum all the time. Lots of us.
So we're gonna sign out. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for your questions, and thank you,
On your
Laura and
hats.
Elsbeth, you rock stars. Okay, I'm gonna sign out. Good night, toodaloo, or maybe Laura will, because she knows how to use this thing.
Bye.
Good night. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.
Tip your waitresses.
Okay, so.